So before I get to our speaker today, I do want to say something about the person that's about to introduce our speaker. Congratulations to Dr. Michael Thomas for being named to the Colorado Health Foundation's Board of Directors. Amazing people collaborating to identify, rectify, and break down barriers to access health for all Coloradans and empowering community resources to ensure that health is in reach. CHF will benefit strongly from Dr. Thomas's perspective, experience, and ideas. Now, I wish I had come up with that, but that's actually from Karen Cantor's Facebook page, where she announced this not too long ago. So thanks, Karen, for making sure everybody knew about Dr. Thomas's dirty little secret being put on this board. So congratulations, Dr. Thomas. I give you the floor to introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, Rodney, and thank you for busting me out like that. You know, he called me or texted me last night with all these, and I'm like, how would you even know? I've not told anyone. This is just something I do. And he's have you looked at Facebook? So thank you, Karen, and all of you. It's an honor to serve not only our community, but our state. And, you know, as an educator, we know healthy kids are those that achieve. And any way that I can find ways to bridge health and education and other sectors, you know, that's a strong passion of mine, and to make sure it's accessible to all. Given everything that we're all going through right now, we need a healthier world, and glad to be a part of that and serve. And speaking of service, today we have a great presenter. Many of you already probably know Charmas Lee and have a history a lot more than I do, but he has a long-standing history in the D11 footprint. He started his academic career in District 11, the best school district in the Springs. I gotta say that. I love my SOUP colleagues, but I'm gonna give a shot to D11. And look who we turn out. Charmas is a gentleman I met, I believe it might have been a year and a half ago, probably just before COVID. Met him and his wife. He has been doing work in several of our schools, namely Adams, as well as North Middle School. And then I think you're also at Rogers. I could be wrong. We'll find out today. He's in several of our Southeast schools, as well as North Middle School. And, you know, he has put together a coaching framework, which is a strong part of his background, in coaching, both from the literal athletic standpoint, but also the cognitive, you know, coaching in terms of mindsets, and really helping young people achieve their personal best. And he started a program specifically for schools called ACE, and that is Achieving Competitive Excellence. And one of the things that he talks about, which I think is just fascinating, but it's so true, and it doesn't matter if you're a young person or if you're, you know, anyone on this call, you know, the greatest competition we have is with ourselves. And we're either going to propel ourselves into greatness, or we'll be our own worst enemy. And as young people, they've not necessarily understood that distinction nor mastered it. And that's something that the ACE program strongly focuses on, so that we can help our students reach that personal best level. And so today we're going to hear a little bit from Charmas and his wife in terms of their work in the Colorado Springs area. And with no further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Charmas Lee.
Well, thank you, Dr. Thomas. I really appreciate that kind introduction, and also for the opportunity to shine a light on an amazing program here in Colorado Springs. Good afternoon, Colorado Springs Rotary. Welcome to Building the Case for ACE. I'm going to go ahead and share my document now, if it'll actually work today. It'd be great. All right, are we good, my friends? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes, sir, you sound great.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to Building the Case for ACE. My name is Charmas Lee, and I build champions. I am the co-owner of Believe and Perform Like Champions and the co-founder of ACE, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. The ACE is the acronym for Achieving Competitive Excellence. ACE is a social emotional developmental model designed to improve emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, and the skills of self-efficacy, focus, and concentration. The obstacles faced by our youth today are overwhelming. Many have lost their sense of self, which has created a debilitating discouragement. In many cases, the results have become catastrophic, resulting in behavioral challenges, lower academic achievement, poor decision-making, low self-esteem, and low pride. Each day, our students are involved in a civil war. It's a war that takes place in the mind. Therefore, the mind is a battlefield. The brain processes between 45 and 60,000 thoughts per day, and up to 80% of those thoughts are repetitive. At any given moment, our students are either selling themselves on themselves or they're selling themselves out. It's important that we teach our students how to make good thinking a habit so that our students can have the proper framework for decision making, develop accurate perceptions, healthy emotions, and honorable intentions. I'd like to take a second just to share a story with you. Back in November 2017, I had the opportunity to run by North Middle School to make a donation of athletic equipment. I'm a former coach over at North. Once the donation was made, the coach asked me if I'd like to meet the principal. And of course I said, certainly, I'd love to meet the principal. Well, as I made the journey toward the principal's office, there was a few things that I was taken aback by based on the way the students were communicating with each other and also the lack of respect they had for those in authority. Long story short, it just didn't sit well with my soul. Well, a couple of weeks later, I had an opportunity to sit down with one of the assistant principals because I never got a chance to meet with the principal due to the fact he was putting out a crisis. So I met with the assistant principal and I sadly listened to what he had to say. And he says, Charmas, he says, I hate to say this, but there's simply a population here that we just can't reach. Well, I think a leader graciously acknowledges his or her responsibility to go back into the community in which they've served or grown and do the best they can. So Rodney, my response was this: I think I can help. Imagine that. Well, school administrators selected 18 of their most demanding students, 15 African-American, 2 Hispanic, 1 Anglo. We met in the library once a week for 43 minutes. After the second session, Colorado Springs Rotary, Principal Chris Kilroy, he called me into the office and I thought maybe I was in trouble for being too tough or something. And he said, Charmas, I'm not sure what you're doing or how you're doing what you're doing, but the students that had once taken up residency in my office, I only see them passing in the hallways. It was an amazing thing. He went on to say, please keep doing what you're doing. We met with these students 8 more times to the end of the academic year, and I have to tell you that the results were absolutely amazing. This is the testimonial that Principal Chris Kilroy inspired and wrote down to share. He says, Charmas focused on adaptive skills essential to academic and social success in and out of the school setting. His skills are extraordinary and success evident based on the growth on the CMAS assessment of the African-American cohort surpassing all other subgroups, including the gifted and talented population. And my friends, before I go further with this testimonial, I want you to remember that these 18 students, they had 1 foot out the door and 1 foot in the door. They were not deemed uncoachable or unteachable, but they just didn't know how to reach them. Principal Kilroy goes on to say that the process that Charmas utilizes can be summarized in 2 words: grit and resiliency. His program hones in on building essential skills, a process through which students develop a cognitive strategic plan that breaks larger issues into smaller ones, affording them the opportunity to internalize both problem-solving skills and cognitive flexibility skills, essential to overcoming impediments and success in the 21st century. Now, Colorado Springs Rotary, I'm excited about the outcomes here. I would think that the teachers would be incredibly excited and our community would be incredibly excited. I also think that this was something that was so unique that it was even hard to grasp the concept of. Here's the first group of graduates from North Middle School VA's project. As you can see in this picture, there's a bunch of smiling faces of students who had excelled beyond their own imaginations. We also brought in some student mentors from my program, Speed TNF. And my friends, you know, it was just an amazing thing. Well, a funny thing happened. By divine appointment, I was invited to a meeting with State Representative Tony Exum and former District 11 Superintendent Gleditch. The subject of the meeting was low student performance issues at an elementary school on the southeastern side of Colorado Springs. Look, I'll spare you the details of the meeting. However, it provided me with another opportunity to say, guess what? I think I can help. So it had been over 50 years since I walked the halls of my alma mater, John Adams Elementary, and I had returned in an effort to help improve student outcomes and develop a new generation of champions, student champions, highly disciplined students with highly disciplined actions and highly disciplined thoughts. Well, in the fall of 2018, school administrators selected 30 of their most challenged 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, students to participate in the ACE project. I got to be honest with you, the first 5 weeks were they were very, very difficult. And I even asked myself the question, what have I gotten myself into? Well, we met once weekly in the library for about an hour, but after the sixth session, lightning struck again. We had 12 more coaching sessions with the students during that academic year, and the outcomes were absolutely unbelievable. So much that we were asked to grow the program to all 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. I've got a testimonial here from Principal Nate Hansen, and he actually wrote a 3-page testimonial, but I just simply want you to see the power of what happens when we come together as like-minded citizens and people who really want to affect change in this country, specifically in the community of Colorado Springs. Principal Hansen said, and I quote, "What started as a great opportunity for our most challenged students has clearly become a program for all kids. Many of these students who are just 10 or 11 years old have been struggling with regulating their emotions their entire lives. And in just 12 short hours of work, they are changing." Now, my friends, that's a foot stomper. In 12 short hours, they are changing. He goes on to say, they are stopping and thinking and making different choices. Can you imagine the possibilities if more students could access to the ACE program? What if we could increase time with these students, get more students involved, and invest in the longevity and future of this program, and ultimately, the future of these students and in this community? Well, my friends, this is a picture of the first 30 students. This is the library in which I was kicked on, spit on, the kids rolling on the floor. I got called a few bad names, but at the end of the day, we became friends. And they became some well-disciplined students. What you're seeing in this picture is we're actually doing a little bit of exercise physiology. They're actually doing some heart rate training in an effort to deregulate themselves. And it was one of the most effective neuroscience-based skills that we actually used. I should also go on to say that ACE is a combination of the latest in neuroscience, the 595 rule of human performance, and the 10 human drives. It's a fantastic situation that we've occurred there. So, it's one thing for people to share their testimonials and write things down in short videos, but I want to tell you that this is a scientifically based program. I hired Dr. Jeffrey Heisting of Clover Point Research. He selected 4 very difficult assessment tools, 3 external and then 1 internal, which the School District 11 actually uses, the Panorama Social Emotional Learning Assessment. And here's what the results were from the 2019-2020 ACE program. The data set analyzed in the study suggests that following exposure to the ACE program, students experience improvement in the following areas: attentiveness, focus, concentration, attitudes, and academic performance. They were better able to regulate their emotions, they were less disruptive, and more motivated to learn. If you go to achievingcompetitiveexcellence.com, you can see the full report. You can download it, and there's also testimonials there as well. My friends, education is the gateway for upward mobility in this country, which will help affect the change that we want to see in this country. We seek to disrupt the systemic cycles of impoverished, faulty thinking and create a new generation of student champions, highly disciplined students with highly disciplined thoughts followed by highly disciplined actions. My friends, that's exactly what we're doing with the ACE program. It's important that I share with you in just a very short period of time, ACE started off with 18 students at North Middle School, and within 1 year, we went to 300. We started with 30 students at Adams Elementary, and in one academic year, we grew the program to 260. During the 2019-2020 academic year, we were actually impacting the lives of 560 students. We are currently in Rogers Elementary and Adams Elementary, and each week, my friends, each week, we are afforded the luxury to impact 350 students, to motivate, educate, and inspire them to develop a sense of greater expectations within themselves. So things have changed since 2019 and 2020. You know, we have the social distancing things that we have to do. We have to wear these masks and such, but I want you to look at this amazing picture. This is what we call student engagement. Notice how many students are raising their hands. That beautiful lady on the right is my wife, and she's teaching these young people American Sign Language, just a few words, so that in fact it can increase student engagement and also discipline. We actually have a silent session, which is amazing, where you'll have students say absolutely nothing but communicate only when they're called upon, and sometimes even in sign language. For these sessions are up to 30 minutes. Well, my friends, before I close this, I want to say a couple of things about our current community sponsors. The Elpamar Foundation was so kind to provide the ACE project with a 2-year grant. It was a matching fund grant of up to $25,000. Well, at the end of this year, that grant will be gone, but we are so thankful for Elpamar. I also need to give a shout out to Tom Ashley. He's the president of A&B Bank. Tom Ashley is an absolute hero. We sat down about 2 times, we had a couple of conversations and began to share with him what happens in the southeastern side of Colorado Springs. And my friends, he was interested. So I have to give him a shout out as well. Well, my friends, I would assume that you might be like me and you're probably thinking, I think I can help. Well, guess what? I know that you can help. Here's the call to action that I have for you today. We want to keep ACE a functional, sustainable program for the next 3 to 5 years. Our goal is to grow this program even more. We're already capable of doing it. We have all the manpower. We simply need the resources to move forward. We are seeking community-minded corporate sponsors who want to get behind the ACE project. And by the way, ACE falls under our 501c3 nonprofit. We're also looking for individual sponsors who are ready to help us knock the ball out of the park. My friends, knock the ball out of the park. One more thing I want to share with you. Viktor Frankl says, and I quote, this is one of my favorite quotes, and it kind of gets me a little bit caught up. If you don't know who Viktor Frankl is, he was an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist. He was also a Holocaust survivor. And he says, man, I think I'm forgetting what he says. Nonetheless, the bottom line of his statement or his comment is this. There's this time in space where a young person has the opportunity to make the best decision possible. He says, between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space lies the power to choose our response. And in that response lies our choice and our freedom. My friends, when I look at Colorado Springs today and some of the challenges we're facing, and even what the El Paso County Public Health Department says, that suicide is the largest cause of death for ages youth 10 through 17. Colorado consistently ranks in the top 10 in suicide in this country. I think having that Viktor Frankl comment is part of the thought process that we had when we created ACE. There are 2 systems of success. One is bright lines, the other is think, say, do. If we can teach our students to pause in a moment of crisis or challenge, to do a micro pivot, how many lives might we save? How many minds might we change? And how much success might we have? Well, my name is Charmas Lee. Thank you for your time. I build champions. This last slide has my contact information. You've got Facebook, you've got LinkedIn, phone number, email, the whole 9 yards. I would love to have a candid conversation with many of you to see if there's a way that we can come together as a community and affect the change that we both desire to see in this country. I think that's it. I'm going to stop my share, Mr. President Goulet.
That was great, brother. Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. My question, and thank you for all this work you've been doing. in our community, helping our youth. The younger we can get them, the better. You know, as soon as we can help kind of change the behavior and get their mind, like the mind, and I know you appreciate this. We've had conversations before, because you've been helping me kind of keep my mind straight with everything I got going on. You know, that is a very protected space. And if it gets damaged early by feeding the wrong messages to these young kids, it follows them into adulthood. Words matter, you know, actions matter, you know, highly disciplined actions matter, right? I got a question for you though, brother. Do you have a book where we can, like, I don't know, read about some of this stuff, or, you know, or get it for a gift for a young person that you want to help? Oh, look at that, a book.
Well, Rodney, thank you so much for asking that question. And Dr. Thomas, both, it's so great to see you both. Yeah, this book is titled Think, Say, Do, Disrupting the Systemic Cycles of Faulty Thinking. Now, let me just share this with you. The foreword was written by a elementary school principal, and the contributing author is actually a behavioral intervention specialist. They've had a chance to see what we've done in the academic arena. They both want to get on board with this book. Again, Think, Say, Do, Disrupting Systemic Cycles of Faulty Thinking. Every purchase of this book goes directly to the ACE project. I figure if we can get 4,000 purchases, that'll give one school a full year of Coach Lee and the ACE project. So that's one way to do it. The other way to come alongside us is to partner with us from a corporate or individual perspective. And Rodney, I want to say one more thing. You're absolutely right about this mind piece, and I know that Dr. Thomas alluded to it as well. ACE uses the executive brain functions, the three essential functions of that area. It's to attune, inhibit, and work on the working memory. Once we teach students to drive their attention forward, it's going to increase their rate of skill acquisition, their ability to learn, their focus, and their concentration. The other thing that's really critical for our students is that they learn how to sell themselves on themselves. Just like the science says, at any given time, they can either sell themselves on themselves or sell themselves out. If our students are to become successful, to win the day, they have to learn how to win the morning. And that morning starts before they get to school, so they can show up with a purpose, a plan, and a clear set of priorities.
Fantastic, man. So yes, Dr. Thomas, what you got, brother?
President Gillette, I just want to maybe capture a couple of questions in the chat for Mr. Lee, if I could, and I'll synthesize them. You know, so we've had this partnership in District 11, and you know, when I think about the types of interventions and supports that work for students, his focus is one that I think really hits on a critical aspect, and that is essentially ways that we can kind of remap the brain's function to think and respond differently to situations. And those are both social situations as well as academic situations. And so, Mr. Lee, if you could just speak to a little bit, one, you know, just before the fall break, we had to move completely into a virtual format. And so maybe you can speak to the level of engagement you were able to continue or not be able to continue due to the virtual format. And obviously with us opening schools again next week, you know, we'll be excited to bring, you know, the sport back into the classrooms. And so if you could maybe just speak to that, and then also in the picture of your wife and you in that one frame, that was like the meat and potatoes of your program. So a couple of folks want to understand, what does kind of like a session look like?
Well, thank you, Dr. Thomas. Well, first and foremost, we had continuity post-fall when everything changed. We had continuity based on the hybrid learning models that were put in place, and the continuity and cooperation between the teachers and also the ACE project. It was absolutely stunning and amazing. We were still able to get in front of 350 students per week, 9 classrooms at Adams Elementary, and I believe it's 5 classrooms at Rogers Elementary. We're in each classroom at Rogers for 30 minutes each. We also have 2 other classes. One is a leadership, and the other one is for the students who need just a little bit more of a push. We have, was it 10 Mrs. Lee at Adams? And we have a group that needs a little bit more effort, and we'll also have a leadership group there. We're actually working with the 4th grade students in a leadership capacity so they can actually help support ACE as 5th graders. We're going to teach them to teach. the art of teaching pedagogy. The second piece is this. So Mrs. Lee and I, we want to be role models for the students in the classroom. So she and I both go into the classroom at the same time, and typically we start a session with what we call a tongue twister or some kind of attention driver. I'll give you a great example, Dr. Thomas, you'll love this. We start a class with, once the task has just begun, never leave until it's done. Be the labor, great or small, do it well or not at all. We simply capture their attention, then we move forward with either a PowerPoint, a video, or a story, followed by a handout, and we have an in-class session, and also from time to time, they'll have a homework assignment. The students are given these posters that say think, say, do on them. They have the power of words and various other things, and they have these AM rituals, we call an AM checklist, that they also go through upon awakening every morning. We're teaching them we're not teaching them what to think, but we're teaching them how to think and how to silence their minds. So they have work to do at home that they actually can bring to the classroom so they can show up fully focused. So a basic day for Mrs. Lee and I, as far as in the classroom, is we come to the classroom, we do something to evoke an emotion, because we know that emotion actually anchors learning. We also understand that if we can get our student to the right frame of mind, the right state of preparedness, it's going to make the teacher's job so much easier, and also their learning acquisition so much faster. So start with that tongue twister. We also bring in what we call a bright line. And Dr. Thomas, a bright line it's something that is non-negotiable, there's no debate about it. Our number one bright line is to respect the speaker. It's a fundamental requirement to be successful in this country. Respect the speaker, respect someone who's speaking. So then from there, we do our PowerPoint, our story, our handout, and we work together with the teacher to finish the assignment. That's what a typical session would look like.
So I'll just say one more guilty plug. And obviously I'm biased because we have a partnership with them. This is, and I have no regret in having the partnership with them. And I just want to go back to your early work with North Middle School. That was about 4 years ago.
2017, 2018.
Yeah, getting my numbers wrong. So right around that time frame. I think Chris Kilroy had just begun his either second or first year at North Middle School. And this program, folks, was one of the catalysts for change at North Middle School. If you've not met Principal Kilroy, he is by far one of the best principals I've ever met in my career. And he understands what it takes to turn learning around for all students, but specifically those students who are just within reach of their full promise. And this program was one that really launched the significant gains that Mr. Lee spoke to, specifically as it pertained to the African-American students at North Middle School. There was this collective body of momentum that was built with this program. I believe it was my second year here. I was asked, it was a follow-up actually from probably your first or second program year there, and they had some phenomenal gains that everyone in the state were looking at. And I remember calling all the students together, specifically the African-American cohort, because they were a subgroup of students that demonstrated some of the highest growth in the entire school. And quite honestly, had it not been for this cohort of students, they may not have, kind of crossed over that hurdle that they were trying to jump. And when I asked the students, I said, do you know why you've all been called down here to the cafeteria, to the gym? And immediately negative responses rang out. We're in trouble. We said this. It was heartbreaking to me, as a newer superintendent, to see all these kids think the only reason that they've been brought together was for a negative purpose. And obviously we changed that narrative very quickly and really celebrated their academic success and how they really helped carry the school over the finish line. But a lot of the tenets that you see in the ACE program, that's the mental battle that he's talking about in his program, that our kids just don't have the skill sets to always overcome. no matter the positive affirmations and things that we can share, when they go back home into those primary, first learning environments, how are those messages, intertwined there as well? So I just want to thank you, Mr. Lee, for your support, for the hundreds of students in our district. And, I'll just end with, this is the type of program support that I believe K-12 and probably many adults could benefit from. So thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. It's really an honor to be able to share this information. It's I think that Colorado Springs is such a great place to be in. Anytime I have an opportunity to go back into the community and serve at the highest level possible, I mean, that's my mission in life. Dr. Thomas, I also believe that Colorado Springs can become the national model for innovative education in this country. I think we're 5 degrees away from that. I know the country's facing many things, but because of the mindset that you bring to the table, Dr. Thomas, because of opportunities like this to showcase programs, and this is just the Cliff Notes version. It's a very deep program. I believe that we can affect the change that we want to see in this country. Save kids' lives, improve the educational outcomes, and teach students how to sell themselves on themselves. It's absolutely critical we teach them this ability.
That's good. Charmas, how have you been able to run this program over the virtual medium? Are you running it over Zoom and all that?
We're actually so for the 3 weeks prior to the start of this 2021, we are on WebEx just like the teachers are with the students. We see those 350 students via virtually just like we would see those in the classroom or in the hybrid model. The teachers are absolutely fantastic, and they love it when we're there. They bring this energy, attitude, and the joy to the virtual environment just like we do, and it's been fantastic. So we share information just like we did today, either via PowerPoint or handout or workload or whatever the case may be. We spend the full 30 minutes just like we would have a typical session. So the only difference is that it's 1D when we're on the screen, it's 3D when we're in front of them. So I believe that it's been highly successful based on the current constraints that we face.
Right on, that's good. Does anybody else have any other questions for Mr. Lee?
I just want to say hi, this is Cass. Coach Lee, I'm calling him Coach Lee because we know Coach Lee because Tuesday was coached by Janice and Charmas Lee for 2 years with speed, track, and field that he put together for now over 30 years, I think, huh?
Yes.
And Tuesday was a really good athlete under his tutelage and his discipline, and has become an excellent academic champion through District 11, combination of District 11 and what she learned from Charmas Lee. He's just an amazing person with amazing insight on how to lead people, and particularly kids who, I wrote down a few notes, but now my eyes are teary, sorry. But Charmas Lee's an amazing man and has amazing insight, and Tuesday has benefited her life, goes on with the benefits of what he's taught her.
It's true. Yeah. It's very beneficial. It's very, because everything you taught us on the track, I think a lot of us translate it into academics. And so being disciplined and stuff translates through everything. It's awesome.
So this ACE program is amazing. And D11, we love D11, Dr. Thomas knows. And this is a wonderful program. You're right. It should be the catalyst for a few additional programs in every school and adults alike.
Well, Cass, those are some very, very kind words. And I have to tell you that I'm humbled. I tend to get just a bit emotional when people sing our praises, because that's what scripture says, let others sing your praises. And I'm a man who, every day that I walk into the classroom, before I get there, I have my own habits, practices, and rituals. I want you to understand that I expect the extraordinary.
Yes.
And typically we find what we're looking for, and we can stir that pot with emotion and make things happen at the visceral level so these students will lock into the program.
Yes.
And Cass, just like you would remember, we would start our athletic sessions with a mental mastery model for the first 6 minutes. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Yep.
It's a very similar model that we drop directly into the classroom. The first 90 seconds, we are driving their attention forward. We are getting them to focus on what's important. We're cleaning up their thought life. We're getting them to place themselves with what we call a noun, their favorite person, place, or thing. We realize that the brain operates up to 31% better in a positive state of mind. So no matter what they're dealing with at home, no matter what they bring to the table, we want to kind of defrag and recalibrate and give them a dynamic presence. So in fact, that they can hear what the teacher's saying and, you know, have the best outcome they can. So again, I just thank you so much for your praise, and you know, I'm humbled again. I'm very humbled.
Well, we have all of your books and we've given them away as gifts. So you're like that to us. Okay.
Here's a hug from afar, my friend.
So Charmas, Cass, thank you for sharing that that testimonial. And Tuesday, you're definitely a great leader. Keep doing that good work. Charmas, could you in 5 minutes help us recalibrate our minds? Give us an example. If we were coming into your space, coach, how would you get us ready for the weekend and get us ready for 2021? You have 5 minutes. Show me.
Well, that's 2 minutes too long, Rodney. That's 2 minutes too long. First, I'm a sprint coach. First things first, I think what's important is that we have to pay attention to how we're showing up, no matter what the goal is. The answer to every question is, what is the goal? So as we go into this weekend, what is the goal? Are we there to have fun? Then let's have fun. Let's do it the right way. Are we there to learn something? So the answer to every question is, what is the goal? Number two, the first thing I want you to consider is this. Here's a high performance hack. Upon awakening, I want you to throw back about 32 ounces of water. What most people don't understand is that a body who operates in a 3% dehydrated state, it increases their heart rate by 10%, it decreases their concentration and focus by about 8%, and it slows down the contractile speed of this thing right here called the brain by about 8%. So that's a simple high performance hack. Next thing. So Rodney, here's speaking directly to you, Rodney, since I see that wonderful, handsome face of yours right there on the screen. Tomorrow morning, upon awakening, don't say anything, just pay attention to what you're thinking inside of that internal narrative. See if you are dealing with a civil war or see if you're dealing with a peaceful environment. The first 3 to 6 thoughts that we have can shift our trajectory for the full day. So we have to learn how to silence our minds, at least pay attention to that. First thing, if those first 3 thoughts aren't what you want them to be, then make them what you want them to be. And Dr. Thomas is going to love this. My first 3 thoughts of every morning are powerful, impactful, and purposeful. And once I have those thoughts, I stay that way for the whole day. There's nothing anyone can do to disrupt me. Next thing, Rodney, I still think I have 2.5 minutes. Those 3 words that I want you to use, find your own power words, but you have to speak them into existence. And you have to put the I am in front of them. I am powerful. I am impactful. I am purposeful. So we want to think it, speak it, and then we have to do something. So Rodney, the way you cement this thing and you make each day a glorified exhibition of brilliance is you take an immediate action post those 3 words you speak into the cosmos. So any action. For me, once I say powerful, impactful, and purposeful, I simply turn to my wife. She's asleep. I'll kiss her on the cheek. So I'm expressing gratitude into the room. When my feet hit the ground and I realize it's not a dream, I am sleeping in a bed and I am loved, I give gratitude. Success leaves clues. Success is not difficult, neither is failure. But if we can start our day, if we can win our morning, we can win our day. And that would be the simple elementary, really, really elementary steps, juvenile steps, that you can even find in Think, Say, Do, Disrupting Systemic Cycles of Faulty Thinking, on how to start that day. So that would be my 90-second synopsis on how Rodney and how the Colorado Springs Rotary can make tomorrow and this weekend a glorified exhibition of brilliance. Last thing I'll say, Rodney, is when we're all in, the students win. When we're all in, those students win. I certainly hope someone will come alongside us, man, and just push this thing. Let's become the national model for innovative education in this country. Let's do it.
Brother, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you taking that that time to run through your model. Every time I've spoken to you, it's always at the right time. And you know, I had a conversation before this meeting with someone that kind of put me in a non-motivated state of mind. And maybe I'm still kind of processing my way through it. But I tell you what, the stuff that you said is going to help me do that. I feel a lot better already. I can't wait to post-produce this video and share it with the world. So with that, you ended on time, which is great. It's what we like. Ladies and gentlemen, Charmas Lee, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the meeting of the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs. Thank you so much, Charmas, for being here. And thank all of you for being here. You have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
And we will see you next Friday.